All right, the current administration might be declaring a state of emergency for the housing crisis that we're in. If you know me, I've been bantering about this for freaking ever. I could not agree more with what the summary there is, which is that we are in a housing crisis. We have a housing crisis in the United States of America, and people were not talking about it enough, and now they are. Thank God for that, because let me give you the lay of the land here for what's happening right now. I was just on live TV with my girl Shannon Cake. She's an amazing journalist and anchor. And we were talking about the Trump administration potentially issuing a national state of emergency for the housing crisis in the United States. And this is something that I want everyone to understand. I was just browsing some comments on a social media post that was dismissing this and downplaying this. And this is not a political opinion whatsoever. This is a boots on the ground. I'm seeing this every single day from someone who has sold a lot of real estate and also mentors real estate agents across the country. I ask them at the top of every call that we do, I feel like I ask, how's the market in your area? For the last 5 years, I've been asking this. And here's the thing. If you're an older millennial, meaning you're between the ages of 35 and 45, and you don't own a home right now, no matter where you live, whether you're in Boise, Idaho, Des Moines, Iowa, South Florida, it is damn near impossible to be able to buy a house right now if you don't currently own a home. If you missed the boat and the opportunity to buy a home before 2020, and then you missed the low interest rates of 2020. Let's say for whatever reason, you just weren't able to buy a home. And now you're renting still at the age of 40, and you have children and you have mouths to feed, and you're paying, let's say $2,500 a month in rent, okay? And you make $75,000 a year, which is a great income. You make $75,000 a year, paying $2,500 in rent. That of your $5,000 a month check after taxes, let's say, and that's being modest, after taxes, that leaves you with living expenses, and that leaves you with nothing to put away in savings. Okay, so the average home price in America right now is between $400,000 and $600,000, depending on where you live. In order to buy a $400,000 house, you have to have a 20% down payment, which means you have to come up with $80,000 to put into savings. And the issue, the housing crisis that we're in right now, is people are not taking into consideration when they're looking at, putting away $80,000 to be able to, have a down payment for a house, that insurance is only going up because of what just happened in California and in the Carolinas and here in Florida. The insurance crisis is so real. So you have to take that into consideration. You have to basically find an extra $1,000 a month just to be able to pay for your insurance. And then when you look at this $80,000 that you have to save up to be able to afford a 20% down payment, yes, there are loan programs that exist that are less than that, but let's just say you don't qualify for those. This applies to so many Americans. So when these stats come up that there are 700,000 people across the United States that are homeless right now, that number is only going to get greater and greater and greater if we can't empower millennials to be able to buy a house. Here's what's going to happen. Those millennials that are now, 45 years old are going to turn 65 years old, 75 years old. And what's going to happen if they don't have a house, if they've been renting this entire time, when it comes time to retire, they can't do a reverse mortgage. They won't have anything in savings because they've been dumping money into rent this entire time. They are not building equity in a home. Right now, if you ask any real estate agent, they're selling homes across the country. We're having one of the best years we've ever had here at Meyer. But what we're doing is we're selling homes to buyers who are exiting another home and buying, like they're taking the equity from one home and rolling it into the next, meaning that, and that's part of the American dream, right? But the issue that we have is so many of these millennials who graduated high school and college after the recession and just were fighting for their lives to put any kind of money in savings. They were paying off student loan debt. They were slapped with the regulation that they have to buy health insurance. These millennials have no money in savings and have no ability to even buy a home. And that is what the housing crisis is about. If you go back and look at some of my videos, I've been talking about this literally for the last 3 years. Here's the thing. The government can't tell someone who bought their house for $90,000 and is now selling it for $600,000 that they can't take that gain. Of course, they can tax capital gains but they can't tell them that you can't sell your house for that much money. So opening up land to be able to build homes that are affordable is 100% the move and what the government should be doing and is potentially doing. Manipulating interest rates is definitely something that can be done. But still, manipulating interest rates doesn't change the fact that you still need, in order to buy a $400,000 house, which is modest, like that is a modest home, you still have to have an $80,000 down payment. And I would like you to tell me how you find $80,000 if you're making $100,000 a year and you're having to spend $3,000 a month on rent, which is like average at this point for, a family type home. Where are you going to come up with $100,000 unless you win the lottery or you become independently wealthy in some way? So that is why this is a housing crisis. I stand by this. This is regardless of where you stand politically. Because by the way, this to me is the most bipartisan thing. This impacts everybody. In our area in South Florida, we see a lot of people that are getting money from their parents to be able to buy homes, and I love that for them. But the way that their parents are getting money is because they've either stockpiled it because they were able to buy a home in the 90s or in the early 2000s or in the 80s, and they're taking lines of credit against their home, and they can do that. That's fine because their home, they bought it, for $100,000. Now it's worth $1 million. So they're able to help their kids. But if you don't have help from your parents savings were decimated during the recession. You don't have help from your parents. You don't have help from anyone. You don't have outside help financially, which is totally normal. That is the American dream, is making your own money and getting after it and being able to buy a house. The American dream does not exist for a huge chunk of America. What's going to happen is that these millennials are going to continue to get older. Forget Gen Z. Gen Z can't even sniff affording to buy a house right now. It's not even within the realm of possibility. But these millennials are going to continue to get older, and what's going to happen is they're going to turn 65, 75, 85 years old, and they're not going to be able to work anymore, and they're going to have, Social Security. That's great, but that is not going to carry them into the rest of their lives if they live to be 105. It's just not realistic. You have to own a home. You have been paying down a home to be able to take money back out of it. And that is the piece that is missing right now.